Hello, everyone. It's time for It's Your Time to Shine, a podcast about being a mom in a modern world. My name is Jaspreet, and with me is my friend Lisa. Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Jess. How are you today?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm good. Every time I drop Alyssa off preschool, I'm good. It's my free time. So
You're so funny. Yeah. I always catch you on your post drop off times.
You do.
And you're in such a good mood.
I am.
I'm a little jealous.
I am. You actually catch me at the best mood ever. Like any other time, I wouldn't be nearly as cheerful. So people may have the misconception that I'm a happy person, but that's just because it's post drop off.
You're so funny.
Yeah. We went to go see a baby last week. My friend had a baby. Remember Neha?
Yes.
Yeah. So she has a baby cub. He's about a month old.
Oh, so cute.
Allie cannot stop talking about this baby. She's like, baby Covey, I want to go see baby Covey. And then, we say Didi, right, for big sister. So,
right.
So she's so excited about being a Didi. And she was really cute. It made me sad. Like, we were there last week and she's holding the baby. And she's very caring. Like, shh, the baby's sleeping. Okay, gentle. I was like, oh, you're such a good big sister. So.
Oh, wait, why did it make you sad? That would make me happy.
Oh, no, it makes me sad because she's probably never going to be a big sister. That's why. I shouldn't laugh. I'm sorry.
Why will she never be a big sister? You can change that. Have you decided on that?
No. Well, we're on the fence. As a matter of fact, our deadline's coming because we said by the end of the year we're going to talk about this.
Your deadline to talk about it or your deadline to decide?
Talk about whether or not we want to have a second kid. And it's one of those things, Jess. I just feel like I'm 40. I'll be 41 in February. And I'm dying to go back to work. So I don't know. We're 95 leaning towards no second kid right now. So that's why it makes me sad.
Aw, that makes me kind of sad because you are both good parents and you make cute kids.
Oh, that's such a great reason to have kids, to make cute kids.
It's also do you remember the movie Idiocracy?
Oh my God, yes, Idiocracy. You're right.
It's also to bring balance to the universe. So you have to.
So we're trying to save the world?
Yeah.
We're trying to save the world by having another kid?
What if your second child grows up and turns out to be like the next president of the United States and saves the world from Brando?
Does that say a lot anymore? The next president of the United States?
But what if he or she becomes the next president and stops using Brando to water plants and just uses regular water and plants start to grow again?
You're right. But what if he or she's the one who actually starts Brando? I mean, it could go either way.
What would be the best would be like if Allie invented Brando and then your next child stopped using it or something.
So we're negating how the dumb of my first kid, how dumb my first kid is.
Or vice versa.
Our first kid isn't very bright. Let's have a second kid.
Or vice versa. No, okay, seriously. Let's talk about this.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it is a tough decision.
Well, with you, it was different, right? I mean, you knew, right? Did you ever have any after Pavneet was born? Were you like, this is it, I can't go through this anymore? Or were you like, we're going to have a second kid, I just want to get them, or a third, and get them done quickly? What were your thoughts way back when you were in your early 20s, Jaspreet?
Well, I didn't have my kids till I was in my late 20s, but...
What made me think you were in your early 20s?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm sorry. Anyway. Whatever, you're still in your 20s.
Just the young look that I had, maybe.
You do. You still look like you're 25.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I think before I had kids, I knew that I wanted to have like multiples. I didn't want to just have one. But I think a lot of it plays into the relationships that you have with your siblings. So like I'm one of three, Budum is one of three, and then we have 3 kids. I think like we fell into the having 3 because we like that dynamic. To be honest,
right.
Having 3 kids, it's like a social experiment a little bit, but having 3 kids, I realize like when you have 2 kids, they can get in a fight and they're just separated. But when you have 3, it's impossible for 3 people to be in a fight. It just doesn't happen. There's no 3-way fights.
Okay, what are you saying now? So now I've got to have 3 kids?
No, I'm just telling you a little bit about my reasoning of going like from
I know.
2
I'm
to
just
3.
kidding. Yeah.
Yeah. And but it is interesting, like the kids, I feel like they do end up getting along a little bit better. Like 2 of them are always on the same side. So if 2 of them get in a fight, the third one's usually like, come on, just drop it. you know? And so,
yeah, I've never had the 3 dynamic. I only know the 2 dynamic. So
yeah, and the 2 dynamic could go either way. You could either be really close, or you could be like just different personalities and not hang out
yeah,
that much.
or both.
So I have an interesting scenario because, you know, my sister is so much younger than me that
Right.
it's like we were a 2-kid family for a long time, me and my brother.
Right.
And we got along fine. We would argue sometimes, and we did our own thing too. And then when my sister came along, I was like what you're describing in Allie. I was so enamored with her. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do everything, take care of her all the time. And she used to follow
were
me
how
around.
old?
I was
7 or 8?
I was 8.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I was 8. My mom was pregnant. I was so excited. And when the baby was born, my mom never worked. She was a stay-at-home mom, right? And so when the baby was born, probably like she was maybe 2 years old, my mom started working. And so I took care of her a lot more than probably other big sisters would take care of their kids. And
Right.
oh my gosh, we had so much fun. I mean, don't get me wrong, my dad was there. My mom worked nights and my dad was there, but it was the 80s. And
You didn't mind as a 10-year-old?
no, I loved it. I thought it was awesome. And my dad was there, but you know, it was a different time. Dads weren't like on the top of their A game like they are now, like what we expect from them now. And
people weren't scrutinizing every little thing either.
yeah, totally. And people used to be like, when we were with my dad and we'd go to stores or go to the library, they were like, oh, your dad's babysitting you today. And if someone said that about my husband today, I would hit the roof and be like, babysitting? He's a parent, you know, like.
No, you're right. That's one of the big things that's changed. Do not call a father a babysitter.
That's right. Yeah. So, but we took care of each other because we knew that we actually knew as kids that my dad's parenting skills were subpar to my mom's, and when my mom wasn't there, we all chipped in and did what we needed to do. And my mom would like make dinner for us and then give us instructions like, you know, the roti's in the foil, just heat it up, and there's dal on the stove or whatever, you know, like she would give us all these instructions. And then we would help my dad, like, okay, you have to heat up this, because there was no microwave back then, and then I'll heat up this, and you know, that kind of thing. So
you played the parenting role a lot sooner than most people. Not just sub, but also your dad. Because you're pretty much the mom.
Yes,
Right.
the gender
And deep.
the gender roles were definitely more pronounced as a kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that exposure, it changes your personality a little bit too, right? And so like when I had my first, when I had Bavneet, it's funny
Right.
because Budum, when she was like 1 month old, said to me like, I don't want to have any other kids. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Budum said that?
Yeah. And I was like,
Okay, because that's pretty much what I said, and I've kind of stuck
with it. And he was like, he felt like he loved her so much that he couldn't, it was just like, that's it. His whole world was complete. And
Oh my God. I just heard a ding in my head when you said that.
really? Does that relate?
Yeah.
Can you relate to that?
Yeah. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, but my response to him was like, you don't know what it's like until you have, you know, others. And I had a lot of, I knew that I wanted to have at least 2. And things just happen, right, in a certain way where we just got pregnant with Amrik, and we were really lucky that getting pregnant was fairly easy in terms of like the time between trying and actually succeeding and getting pregnant. And so I think that made the decision a little bit easier as well, because when fertility is not an issue, you can kind of leave it up to fate and say, okay, let's see what happens.
Right. And the universe, the universe is kind of guiding you there too.
That's
and
right.
Making it easy.
Yep. Yeah. And it's a little bit different. But when we had Amrik, the one thing I'll say is like when you have your second child, what makes it different from the first is like you realize what your capacity to love really is. And like humans have a tremendous capacity to love, but it's not measurable until you have like another child. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, all this space to love another child.
You know, if I could fast forward and have like a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, or in this case it would be 2 and 6 by now, then it's okay. It's that whole born baby sleepless nights things. I think I just get like, I don't know if I can go through that again.
Yeah, that feels stressful.
That's kind of, I'm being a little selfish. I'm not saying that. I mean, I think part of it's also because I'm 40. I mean, I think if I was 25, we would definitely actually try for a second child.
Right.
Definitely. But being 40, you know, I'm not saying I'm old. I mean, people are having kids well into their mid 40s, even more, even later. But it's just that early time. And also, there's a lot of other things. I mean, I'll be honest with you. It's also because I quit my job, to be with Allie. And I don't regret that, but I'm definitely aching to go back to work. I'm aching to go back to work. I'm aching to do something, right? So, I mean, even though I'm making a documentary, obviously, if I'm making a documentary and it's not like there's no deadline, there's nothing, and Allie will always come first, especially since the documentary is about how Allie comes first,
Right.
So that continues to get deferred, and I do get a little frustrated. So it's been nice, and we joke about it that I feel so good after I drop Alyssa off at preschool, but it really is nice to have that time so that I can finally do my thing. And I'm just afraid if we have another baby again, that'll be put on the back burner.
You have to give that up again.
I'm being selfish. I'm not.
And you feel like you have to give up again, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole other topic. Sometimes we can talk about this in another podcast, just about the isolation one can feel being home all day with a child.
Definitely. Yeah, I remember feeling that myself.
Yeah. And I would actually love to talk, I think we should talk about that in another podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So regarding the age, you're right that age shouldn't be a consideration because there are working women who start their families at the age of 40 and they have healthy babies and they're able to cope. But from the perspective of like making a difference and missing work, I can't help but think of how few people work in traditional jobs these days.
Right. That's true. No, you're right. It's not a 9-to-5 thing. Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking about myself, like I work in a traditional job, meaning like I wake up in the morning, I get ready, I drive to an office, I get to work like around 7:30 or 8, and I'm here until 4:30 or 5:30, whatever the however the meetings go for the day. And your husband Samir does that as well, right? He kind of has a traditional job in the sense that he gets up and goes to an office. But who else has a traditional job? Like I'm thinking of my brother, your sister, my husband. People work from home. People do consulting. There's lots of options for you to work.
It's funny you say that because when I visualize it, because I really want to get this documentary done. I truly have a good feeling about it. Like I think it'll be a stepping stone for me to a lot of bigger things, which would allow me to stay home more or have my own schedule. I guess I always imagine that even though I have that feeling, but then that's the other side of me. Maybe the fear side of me is like, no, you're just going to have to go back to a place like VOA again, 9-to-5, or not 9-to-5, but traditional in the sense of like going to work and then coming home,
Right.
So, but anyway, I'm just saying that but you're right, it's not traditional. So I guess I could consider that I don't have to give up working in order to have a second kid. I guess I'm looking at it that way.
Yeah, totally. I think you have the option. I think you have the option and you can figure out what makes sense for you. And I'm not trying to convince you to have a second child. I'm only sharing with you like ways that you could make it work, since you said you were a little sad that Allie is excited about having a baby. And you also said that if you were 25, you would definitely be doing it, which tells me that there is a desire to have a baby. It's just that you don't know if it'll work out.
Yeah, no, there is. You're right. And it's everything we've just talked about. It's what Bottom said about, I don't know if I can love another kid enough. Like, I'm scared. I'm like, oh my God, Allie and I are so close. We have this awesome one-to-one thing. She has a good one-to-one with her dad. A second kid, like, what if it brings insecurity in her? What if I can't even imagine loving any I can't, right? Just like Bottom said at that time, right? Can't imagine loving anyone more than Allie. So that's one thing, and then the working is the second thing, and then here's two other things actually, which is really dumb, but I'm gonna admit it. One is because I do all these little creative things for Allie. When she was born, I got a friend to get all the things that happen in the news, and I put a scrap to put together for her. I've done all these little creative things, let's just say. I'd have to do it again for the second kid, and I don't know if I have it in me. I made a documentary about Allie for her first and third birthday. How can I top that? I have to do it again. I know it's a stupid reason. That's why I'm telling you. I'm just voicing my dumb reasons, okay? And the second one, the second one is really, I wasn't really able to breastfeed Allie. I mean, I tried for like a few weeks, and I just didn't get milk. And I'm guilty. I would be guilty if I could breastfeed the second kid. Though I've kind of justified it, and I was like, well, if they later on asked me, I'd be like, you were breastfed, you got a documentary, everyone's even. But
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
but that's me trying to make light of it, I guess. But that does. I mean, I always feel like, and something tells me it won't be as hard just because it's just this feeling because now I kind of know what to expect. I don't know.
Yeah.
Plus we co-sleep now. We didn't co-sleep back then. I think all these things made a difference.
I'm going to give you some real talk right now. This is how you know I'm your friend. Okay. You are not going to do any of those things with your second kid. I hardly have a single scrapbook page for Hargun, who's my third. I think I have one. It's not fully completed yet. It needs a title. And I have the letters sitting on my desk. They've been sitting there for like 3 years. Whereas Pavneet has like a full scrapbook. And you made a movie for
Yes.
Pavneet, right? Do you remember
Oh
that?
yeah, you're right. I did a first birthday thing for her.
Yes. So not only will you have a second child that you don't have time to make movies for, I have children that you don't have time to make movies for.
You're right. You never did ask me. You never even asked me. You never said, please do one for my second and third kid. You never did.
No, because I didn't have time to even think about it. And those kids are okay with it. Like Hargun looks at all these movies, home video tapes we have of Pavneet. They say like, Pavneet's
Right.
first day home from the hospital, Pavneet's first birthday. And she looks at him and says, where are those for me? And I said, oh, they're all on the phone. And she said, where are they? And I was like, I don't know, on a computer somewhere. It's just totally different. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that like 10 years from now she might not say something. I don't know. She might come up to us and say, oh, that wasn't fair. But that happened to all of
Right.
us. Like that just happens.
That's true. That happened to me too. My parents didn't even have a birthday party for my first birthday. My mom actually like conjured up pictures and pretended it was my first birthday party and wrote Lisa's first birthday party. I'm like, that's you writing it right now. And she started laughing. They completely forgot to have a first birthday. But you're right. I see her. I actually, as I'm talking, I see the human part of my mom and realized she had way too much going on.
Yes. She lived in a foreign land.
Yeah, and in India it was easier. When Mona turned 1, it was like she didn't even have to plan a party. Just the party came to her.
That's
you
right.
know?
Yeah. You just kind of wake up and there's a party and things are
Right.
available
My kids
for you.
won, really? Yeah.
So that stuff doesn't matter. And you know what? Kids, they have the personalities that they have because of the
Right.
things that we remember to do and the things that we forget to do.
All right, you've convinced me.
I'm not trying to convince you.
No, I do go back and forth, and that's the thing. I really wish, I wish I wasn't in the middle. I wish I wasn't undecided.
Right.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I am undecided, and that bothers me because that means that there's something going on. Like, we're not like definitely no second kid. Cool. There is still something, I guess. You know.
Well, you're going to have your conversation and then you can think about some of these other things. I'm definitely like seriously not trying to convince you, but I do one thing that I wish I had, and I know that more women say that they are lacking, is someone to talk to and confide in and to give them that other perspective and say like give them that confidence. Because if whatever it is, whether you want to have another kid, you want to go back to work, you want to quit your job, having someone tell you like, hey, it's not the end of the world, you will figure out what's right and you can do this, I think is really, really
Right.
important. And that's like the one thing that I want to give my children and to give my friends and colleagues. That's just like my constant, message to the world.
That's really good. It's good. It's good. People do need to hear that. You're 100% right. It's kind of like the goes without saying syndrome people have. They don't say because they think they don't need to, but it actually needs to be said and people need to hear it.
Yeah.
And, you do that for people. You do it for me. You're
Aw.
my girlfriend and you tell me what I need to hear and make me feel better.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and we have to do that for each other. So here's a Mark Twain quote that I had posted on Instagram a few days ago, and it says, "Keep away from people who try to belittle your ambitions. Small people always do that, but the really great make you feel that you too can become great." I'm like,
that's really nice.
That's like life instructions, right?
That's really nice. It actually reminds me of uncles when I was growing up at parties whenever we talked about what I want to do, and then they would go on about how someone else did it and they did it better. And it always pissed me off. They forgot all about me. But no, it's really nice. That's what you want to surround yourself with. And I guess going back to the topic, I do think about that too for Ali, that will she have, a sister or brother whom she'll be so close to, she can confide in and, just especially as parents are aging, just to have someone else.
For me, now that me and my brother and sister have been coping with a lot of health problems with my dad over the last year.
Right.
I cannot say enough about my brother and sister and my Bobby, who's my brother's wife, and my new brother-in-law as well. I mean, they are solid and they're there. And it is an immense relief to be able to split up the duties. And I have like an unfair share. Like they do way more than I do. It's really not right. But because there's 6 of us, that are committed to taking care of and like managing their health, my parents' health and their insurance and their bills and everything, it's not like a burden. I don't wake up stressed. I don't worry about how to figure out, who's paid what bills and what bills are like need to go on a payment plan, or if they forgot to take their insurance, going to appointments, like all of that stuff. It sounds like mindless little things I'm just listing off, but they're like really stressful. It's really difficult.
Well, no, especially when you add it up to your own life and your own 3 kids and your own job and taking care of your own, your family right now too. It's a lot. And I actually can't imagine. As you said it, I was thinking, wow, what if Jaspreet were alone? How much pressure would that be on her? I actually just thought about that.
It would be really crazy amount of pressure. And the truth is, like in Punjabi families, we have this, it's a patriarchal society, right? So generally we assume that the boy or the sons are going to take care of the parents. And so like in our family, I feel like my sister and my Bobby actually do a lot more in terms of like getting my parents' medicines organized and getting their appointments organized and doing their bills and everything. And so, it just makes you think like having kids, breaking out of the gender roles, like how do we help each other and how are we like, we all put those things aside. Like my Bobby has never said, oh, that's my in-laws. I'm not going to go to the doctor with them. Like, one of you has to take them. Yeah. She's awesome. She's supposed to be on top of that. Yeah.
I love that about our society. I'm just saying we don't see it as much in American society, the giving back to parents part. And it's a cultural thing. I'm not really, I'm not trying to say anything bad, but I just like that we take care of our parents later too, and it's assumed. I like that, versus retirement homes and things like that. It's just culturally. I mean, that's kind of part of the reason I was never able to really get to the next level when I was, if I ever dated a white guy or American or, even African American. Yeah. There was that disconnect. I once remember getting into an argument with a guy I was dating, and he's like, oh yeah, well, parents definitely go to a retirement home. I was like, not mine. And I'm like, if we're going to be together, we're taking care of my parents. They took care of us. We take care of them. That's just how it goes. We didn't last. But anyway.
That relationship didn't last. There is a cultural difference and there's a little barrier to it.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah, but I was saying besides, culturally, but also just siblings coming together, we do see it more in our culture. And hence, all the more reason, maybe to have a second kid. Thanks again, Jess.
I don't like the sarcastic thanks again. I'm going to ignore that little tone.
No, I'm not being sarcastic.
And I'm going to pretend that I see it in lights. Thanks again, just with an exclamation point. Something like you would see in Vegas.
Not at all. Honestly, I appreciate your insight and advice. It actually, you really are making me think. I'm not just saying that.
Yeah, and then, when you have the conversation, you can weigh out all of the different perspectives, including you should print out a little picture of Ali Didi and baby Kavi. And keep that in mind, too, how she's like, I want to see the baby. I want to play with the baby.
Will do.
By the way, just FYI, 4-year-olds will say that they want a baby and they say that they want puppies. And about 2 weeks after you get either one of those, they'll lose interest and they just go back to watching Dora or whatever else.
Now you tell me.
So make the decision for you. Don't think about anybody else.
Okay. All right.
All right, awesome.
Well, this was great. Thank you.
No, thank you. Always a pleasure. And thank you for listening to this episode of It's Your Time to Shine. We'll talk to you again soon.